What is up, everyone? This is Dylan, and we're doing another shotgun review of an early access game. Today it's Soulstone Survivor. It is a survivor genre game a la Vampire Survivors. It is a little unique, and the graphics are a little polygony, but let's get into it, shall we? So, in general, the game plays like almost any other Vampire Survivor but it does have some cool features that we'll go over before we start looking at the actual scores. It has a whole list of different characters. Each one has different things you have to do to unlock them, and as you use them, they level up, which allows you to then increase the weapons for them. So if I go to like my Wukong character, I have the first two, and I need a little bit more to unlock this new one. Then it's got a really complex rune system, where you can build up to 5 points if you look down on here on the bottom right. Each one has a different points total. So each character can have up to 5 points. Each rune has a different point total. You can use as many as you'd like, as long as they don't go over 5. Then there's also a skill tree. It's a little bit of Path of Exile for you. Each character has their own separate tree once you fill in the middle little tiny tree. There's achievements that kind of go on. They don't really do much for you. They do kind of unlock a few things, but overall they're just kind of to, get your achievements in order and whatever. So in order to play the game, all you'll have to do is pick a character, and then you'll have to choose which weapon you want to use, and you'll do fight. Once you go to fight, it'll take you to all the different stages. There are 5 currently, and each one's got a different theme. Desert, like death, wasteland, forest, ice, dungeon. Each one you can modify with basically ascension perks to make it more difficult, and you'll get more loot. As you can see, currently I am playing at, Ascension 6. I'm getting all of these bonuses, and it just allows me to progress faster. I've got about 50 hours in the game, and I generally like it quite a bit. It's not going to get a super high score because it's kind of bland in a few areas, but it's overall not that bad. So first, let's go ahead and get a guy in here. Okay. We're going to go ahead and use each one of these. Gives you also a different weapon skill and secondary skill, so they actually do impact the game quite a bit. So like this one's focused around explosives, this one's just kind of a regular bow, this one's shadow magic called Doom, and if it builds up on the enemy to a certain point, they explode. And then there's a last one that's like poison. So we'll go ahead and use our Doom one here, and we'll go ahead and what do I currently have? My stuff is smaller area of effect, but does more damage. I like that. And just 4% extra damage per negative effect. So if I stack stuff, I get more. Now, stuff you can do to make your game a little bit more unique is you can go up here to skill inclination. If you equip it, you can choose a type of skill. So these are all the different archetypes of attacks and skills in the game. And each one is kind of like its own little tree. They've all kind of got the same general skills, which we'll go over, but they kind of have different feelings, and they obviously all have different like negative effects. So if you poison somebody, it's going to do damage over time. If you burn someone, also going to do damage over time, but it also have secondary effects, and they kind of synergize with each other. So we'll just leave it pretty vague for right now. We'll go in. I'm going to drop down the difficulty because I'll be talking during this. Which one do we want to do? Let's do Dungeon. Drop to Ascension 3. As you can see, I'll still get, quite a bit of bonuses, but I won't get like legendary stuff like I was in the other one. So when you start, it's pretty simple. You move with WASD, and you kind of just shoot in every direction. Oh, it looks like it stuck me with the wrong weapon. Great. This is the explosive one. It's fine. So as you can see, it's quite high enemy density, and there's like a lot of dodging involved. Some characters can't dodge or can dodge more. So rogue-like characters, rogue-like as in like the class, not the type of game, dodge better. There's actually a class that is a mounted horseman. He can't dodge at all, but he also moves much faster. So as you level up, you're going to get both passive and active buffs. We're going to go ahead and grab 4% crit chance. And I have to kind of chase around this jaguar, and I get a passive buff for doing that because, yeah, there we go. Basically, as you put perk points into the skill tree, you'll unlock like mini quests for each class, and this one just happens to give you a bunch of modifiers if you follow around that thing. We're gonna do poison. I like poison. So you get a total of 6 skills that are kind of denoted on the bottom, and you can change them out later. However, it kind of behooves you to be kind of careful with what you choose. So while I'm killing, we have to kind of get up to a certain level before, as you can see on the top right, we have to kill 400 dudes before the first boss will spawn. This is one of the main things that we're going to talk about in the loop mechanic. It's a little slow. Instead of being time-based, it's kill-based. So, but while we're doing that, we'll talk about the graphics. The graphics is getting a 4 out of 10. Pretty low because, as you can see, there's not a lot of pomp and circumstance like you'd want with one of these games. Like if you look at Vampire Survivors, it looks like a slot machine most of the time. There's crazy noises and colors and lights. Everything's moving fast. Different types of enemies look very distinct. Yes, they are polygons, or they're like JPEGs in that game, but that's the style they went for. In this one, everyone kind of blends together. It's gonna get faster, and it's a little blah. So it's pretty much when you're on a map, so this dungeon map, it's going to have the same enemies every single time, which is forgivable. That's why it's, you know, not less than a 4. I just wish it had more variety. Sometimes, as you can see, this giant dude over here, he's just a regular enemy that they made big. That's kind of sad. And when you're playing on a single level like this for 30 minutes at a time or something, it can get very, very boring. So I play the game quite a bit. I actually played it. My daughter was in the hospital for a little while. She had surgery, and we were in the waiting room for quite a while. And this and Balantro got me through it. So it's obviously good enough to keep your mind off of it, but also it can kind of put you in a trance in a bad way, like you make you tired. So I guess if you wanted to like fall asleep, you could do that. This is what the bosses look like. There's I think there are 5 bosses, and they're always the same 5. They just come in different orders. So for gameplay, it's got a lot of customization. As I showed you, it's got lots of classes, lots of weapons, lots of runes, and it's got about, I want to say, 8 skills in each type of magic, so that's quite a bit. I'm giving it a 6. They have quite a bit of stuff that they want to do in the future that's going to make it a little bit more fleshed out, and I think that's going to really help. So we've already got 6 skills down here, as you can see. So we could technically replace our choices with passive power-ups, and that way we won't have to do this anymore. We won't have to like pick one of these and it'll drop one of these off. If you're happy with all 6 of these, you can literally just toggle this and it'll only show you passives, and that's kind of nice. So yeah, we'll do multicast. One of the big mechanics of this game is multi. So basically, let's look at this one. For each skill you have of type bomb, so like this one, and this one. Improve your skills without the bomb type, so all my poison ones. And it actually tells you exactly what it's going to upgrade, so that's really nice. That's like very clear. That's a good gameplay explanation. And it gives you a very clear point. So basically, as I use skills, they have increasing multi-chances, and you can somehow get, or sometimes you can get like basically chain casts that are like ridiculously large. There's lots of synergy like this one, so like my bombs make my nature ones better, stuff like that. And there's a good variety, so you're never going to have the issue where like you pick 2 types of spells to use or 2 schools and they don't synergize. There's always going to be something that goes on. So 6 out of 10, steady, you know, it's doing good. They're working hard on it. For the loop, we haven't even killed the second boss yet. And it just kind of, we're at 189 out of 450 kills. It's a lot. They should probably curtail that down quite a bit. Yes, I'm on an ascension mode, but that should make it harder, not longer. If you're familiar with Hades, you know, you want the game to be harder by magnitude by when you ascend and get rewards for that, like they're giving me in this one. But in this one, instead of like Hades, Hades is always the same length. This game basically is just like you have to kill stuff, but it has more life, there's more enemies, it just doesn't work quite as well. Especially because everything's passive, it fires off on its own, and so you kind of lose that sense of agency that a game where you have to actively use your skills might be better. So for the loop, it's only getting a 4. I think it needs to work on its scaling quite a bit and its pace. So there are some builds that are very fast paced, but there are some that may have really good mechanics. You know, bleed, very good mechanic, but stacking bleeds on every single individual guy is very slow. So there's just stuff like that. I think they could probably improve it simply by removing 30% of the number of minions, or making the individual minions that you have to kill slightly weaker. Because if they did that, it would rack up faster. And then they could also throw in elites, which they have some, but I would like to see a more varied, you know, group of them. Music, it's a 5. I wish the sound effects were punchier. It's sometimes techno-y, sometimes like fantasy. It's nothing special, but it doesn't detract from the game in any way, so that's why it's a 5. Some skill types have much better sound effects than others. Lightning skills, really good. Doom skills usually sound pretty good. But like, you know, my guy's technically in half explosion, half poison. You can't really hear an explosion. You know, every time my mines shoot, it should make like a popping sound or something to let you know that I'm doing explosives. To improve that, all they'd have to do is kind of expand. For viability, this is going to be their strong suit by a lot. The group making the game have done a great job with communication. They have an active Discord. They do a newsletter. They actually, today is the 5th of December. They just released a brand new roadmap with everything they've done, plan to do, and have taken feedback with, because they take active feedback, which is always great. And that was done on the 30th, so just a few days ago. For the viability of this game, the population of players is not large, but I'd say just the sheer determination of the group of developers is going to give it an 8 out of 10. I have no doubt that given half a year to a year, this game will launch in 1.0 in a much better state than it currently is, and I'm looking forward to it. This is the kind of game that when you buy an early access, you just kind of know it's going to pay off in the end. So, sadly for modding, as of right now, I don't think they have any plans for modding. There's always the chance that somebody will figure out how to do it. There's already quite a bit of stuff in the game, obviously. And so the modding would be mainly cosmetic, if I could guess. You know, new maps, new monsters, which is what it needs. So if they could get that done, that would be great. But for right now, it doesn't get any extra points for modding. Overall, it's getting a 27 out of 50, which sounds really bad. But when you think about it, early access games tend to flop most of the time. So just being above 50 is pretty good. I find it fun to play. I've put a bunch of time into it. not as much as some of the others. So just for reference, let's look. So if we look at Deep Rock Galactic, I've put almost 90 hours into it. Soulstone, I've put in 40. Both of them play equally well on Steam Deck, which is primarily where I play them. But it just doesn't meet the same atmosphere, music, and theme as a game like either Vampire Survivors or Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. So I do like it. Highly recommend it if you like the Survivor genre like I do. It's just that maybe if you don't, particularly like this type of game, you could wait and get it on sale or something. I still think it's worth supporting the devs on this one by getting it early access. I just think that if you aren't necessarily a huge fan, maybe wait a little bit. So, this has been another Shotgun. I'll see you guys later.